It's live now.
Marvellous, thank you. Good morning, everybody. My name's Ben Attrell. I'm a solicitor employed by the Council and the legal advisor to the committee this morning. The first item on this committee's agenda this morning is to appoint a chair. Can I have nominations from members, please?
Councillor Madden here, nominating Councillor Rudy.
Thank you. Is that carried?
Are you there, Councillor Mason?
I have no other nominations.
Marvellous, thank you. In that case, you're elected chair, Councillor Udy, and I'll hand things over to you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Councillor Udy and welcome to the Licensing Subcommittee. Sorry, I'm reading this on my phone. This meeting is to be broadcast to enable the press and public to view the meeting. We are meeting virtually in response to the limitations placed on governments by the COVID-19 pandemic. Until recently, the law generally stated that members had to be present in the room to make formal decisions at meetings, although it's arguable that this did not apply to licensing committee hearings under the Licensing Act 2003. However, in any event, the law was amended in response to COVID-19 emergency, and councils are now able to hold all public meetings virtually. For the purposes of this meeting, and having been advised by the City Solicitor, confirm that the hearing shall be one pursuant to Section 78 of the Coronavirus Act 2020, regulations made thereunder, and the Licensing Act 2003 hearings, Regulations 2005, which enable the authority to establish its own procedure. Members are reminded to be available throughout the meeting, indicate if they need to leave the proceedings at any point. All three members must be present at all times to be quorate. If at any part the evidence is missed by any of the members due to connectivity or other issues, please raise the matter as soon as possible so that it can be addressed. Members, officers and participants are requested to keep their microphones on mute and only turn these on when they are called to speak. Members of the committee who wish to speak should use the chat facility and simply write their name. Please do not use the chat facility for anything else apart from to raise a point of order. Since there's only two other members here, you can just put your hands up and I'll ask you anyway if you had any questions. If there are any technical difficulties, we'll endeavour to resolve these issues and where necessary have a brief adjournment, but the meeting can proceed where quorate. I will now explain the running order of this meeting. Members will declare if they have any interest. The licensing officer will then present their report to members, the applicant and the responsible authority and the members of the public who have made representations may ask questions in that order. The applicant will then present their case. Members, the responsible authority and members of the public who have made representations may then ask questions in that order. Next, Mr. Maidment, as the responsible authority making an objection to the application, will present his case. Members, the applicant and members of the public who have made representations may ask questions in that order. The members of the public, whether supporting or objection, will then present their cases. I will call them in turn. Members, if everyone's in, I don't know if there's only one person in today, two people in. Members will ask questions of the public, followed by the applicant and then Mr. Maidment as responsible authority at the end of each presentation. Oh, we've got a guest in the lobby. Can services let that in? Who's that? The meeting will then, where am I at? Finally, everyone will have the opportunity to sum up their case, starting with the members of the public, then the responsible authority, and finally the applicant. The meeting will then end. Members will then meet privately for their deliberations and to reach their decision. The legal advisor and democratic officer will then be invited to accompany the subcommittee. The written decision will be circulated to all parties as soon as possible. To reiterate, each party will have an opportunity to ask questions at the appropriate time and make sure to make their own representation when asked to do so. Parties are reminded that representations are strictly limited to only those points raised in your respective written representations. You are able to expand upon those points but not add new. You can be reassured that members have read the papers before and as a result you are not asked to simply read your written representation. Right then. I would now like to introduce members of the committee. Please can you reply by stating your own name. I am Councillor Claire Udy. I think I said that right at the beginning. I call Councillor Madden.
Councillor Leo Madden, Nelson Ward.
Thank you. And Councillor Mason.
Hi, I'm Councillor Lee Mason, Cosham Ward, and I'm standing in for Councillor Tom Coles today. But I have read the paperwork last night after I got told, so I should be able to brief. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, can I ask the officers to confirm they're present as follows? Ben Attrell, Legal Advisor.
Yes, good morning, Chair. I've already introduced myself. I'm the legal advisor to the subcommittee this morning. Thank you.
Hello again. Anna Martin, local. Oh, who's Anna Martin today? Local Democracy Officer, or is it Lisa? I thought I heard you, sorry.
I'm Anna Martin, Local Democracy Officer.
Hello. Derek Stone, Principal Licensing Officer.
Good morning, Chair. Derek Stone.
Hello, Happy New Year. Hello, can I ask the following if they are present? Belinda Delaney, who's the applicant.
Yes, good morning. I am present, Belinda Delaney.
Thank you very much. Philip Melville, who's also the applicant.
Yes, I'm present,
Oh, you're
Chair.
both on the same thing. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Richard Maidment, Environmental Health Service.
Good morning, Chair. Yes, I'm present.
Thank you very much. I don't know who's coming to give representations. Who's in at the moment? I can introduce you formally and write you down.
Chair, we've got Mrs. May.
Yeah.
And Mr. Howell.
May. And Anthony May as well.
Yep. And who else was it? Rocky, sorry.
Mr. Howell is with us as well.
Okay. So I confirm we've got Mr. and Mrs. May and Mr. P. Howells in. Thank you. Two declarations of interest. I'll now move on to member items declaration of interest. Members, do we have any declarations at all?
None.
No, I saw you shake your head then. Thank you very much. We'll now move on to agenda item number 3, the Licensing Act 2003, application for the grant of premises licence for Delaney's at 77B Castle Road, Southsea. Could I ask Derek Stone, the Principal Licensing Officer, to present his report, please? Thank you.
Yes, good morning, members. The purpose of this hearing today is for the committee to consider an application for the grant of a new premises licence pursuant to Section 18 of the Licensing Act 2003. The matter has been referred to the committee for determination following receipt of relevant representations objecting to the application from Richard Maidment, Principal Regulatory Services Officer, and from 2 residents living above the premises, Mr. and Mrs. May and Mr. Coath. These representations relate to noise issues given the potentially extended trading hours. The premises licence application has been submitted by Belinda Delaney and Philip Melville and relates to premises known as Delaney's, situated at 77B Castle Road, Southsea. The following licensable activities have been requested, which are both on and off sales of alcohol Monday to Sunday from 10 o'clock until 2300 and opening hours from 0700 daily. The applicant has detailed in the operating schedule the steps intended to support and promote the licensing objectives. These can be found in the redacted application form attached to Appendix A, and attached to Appendix B, members, you will see the plan of the premises. The provisions relating to the grant of a premises licence are contained within Part 3 of the Licensing Act of 2003 and associated statutory regulations. Public notice has been given by way of press notice, a premises notice, and local ward councillors were notified of the application. Therefore, there are no grounds for the committee to reject the application for non-compliance with the prescribed advertising requirements. Members, Delaney's have operated on the site as a small cafe for the past 15 years, and you'll hear from the applicant soon. The applicant now seeks to add the availability of alcohol to customers as part of their daily business. 4 representations supporting the application have been received from Michael Forfar, Mr. Howells, Mr. Evans, and a Mr. and Mrs. Lombardi. And all those representations, members, you can see at Appendix C in your bundle. Attached to Appendix D is confirmation from the police that they have no objection to this application. And at Appendix E in my report, there are photographs from Mrs. May, showing the rear bedroom window of a property above Delaney's rear door. Members, when determining the application, the committee must have regard to the promotion of the licensing objectives, which are, as you know, the prevention of crime and disorder, public safety, prevention of public nuisance, and the protection of children from harm. You must also have regard to the Licensing Act 2003, the adopted statement of licensing policy, the human rights of all parties concerned to ensure both a fair and balanced hearing and to consider, if necessary, any public sector equality matters, judgments of the High Court, which your legal advisor can give you guidance on should that be necessary, the current statutory guidance issued by the Home Secretary in accordance with Section 182 of the Act, and the representations, including all supporting information presented by all the parties. Members, I've set out in my report relevant sections from the Statement of Licensing Policy and statutory guidance issued by the Home Secretary in accordance with Section 182 of the Act. I do not propose to merely repeat these unless you require me to do so, but I will draw your attention to Chapter 11, which deals with the review provision should problems associated with the premises occur following the grant of a premises licence, and how a review can be requested because of a matter arising at the premises in connection with any of the 4 licensing objectives. Members, you'll hear from the applicant and others during this hearing who can explain in detail the business model. The applicant will also tell you about 3 tends that they had issued December last year and how they worked. You'll also hear from individuals who have concerns and others who fully support the application. So I don't think I need to say any more at this stage, but I'll obviously be on hand to assist you wherever I can. And I do have information, should you require it later, members, in relation to a number of premises in that locality which are licensed and their times of operation, should that be necessary. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Derek. Members, do we have any questions, please? Can you hear me?
I've got no questions, Chair. The only thing we used to get in the packs used to be a little map of where the supporters and objectors were in relation to the business, but unless I've missed it, there isn't one in this one.
No, I've Councillor Mason, I've never done that for a hearing personally, but all the people, the 2 objectors are above the premises, and those in support are in the immediate vicinity.
So they're within like 10 yards of the property as well?
They are either opposite or very close by, or yeah, within Castle Road itself, yes.
Thank you. Councillor Madden, do you have any questions at all?
I have no questions.
Thank you very much. I think I'm all right for questions at this point, but I might come back to you. I do apologise. Does the applicants have any questions for Mr. Stone at all?
No questions at this point, thank you.
Thank you. Does either Mr. or Mrs. May have a question?
Not at the moment, thank you.
Thank you. And the same again for Mr. Howell. Hello.
Hi. So I'm a little bit late, but no, not right now.
Thank you very much for that. At this present moment, we'll move on to the applicant's case then, please. Mrs. May and the partner there, please.
Chair, sorry, do you want to check if Environmental Health had any questions?
Oh, sorry, I forgot that you were here. Mr. Maidman, do you have any questions at all?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
Thank you. So we'll move on to the applicant's case, please. Could Mrs. May and your partner please state your case? Well, I've got Mrs. May written down, I haven't. Mrs. Delaney, or Ms. Delaney, thank you very much. Cheers.
Hello, thank you. Our case is that we would like to make the application for the licence for Delaney's. We've run and owned Delaney's for 15 years, and the intention for the business is not to change it a great deal from how it is at the moment, just simply to enhance it and offer our customers something else with the addition of the alcohol licence. We'll continue to serve breakfast, brunches, lunches, cakes, savouries for eating and takeaway, and afternoon teas. But in addition to this, we will offer an early evening supper menu on a Friday and a Saturday evening, and we may open on a Sunday from 10 till 3. That is something that we've done in the past. It's never really been terribly viable on a Sunday, but we may or may not do a Sunday. However, the only extension to the hours that we will really be doing is the extended time on a Friday and a Saturday, where we will open until 9 o'clock. So there's not going to be a great variation from what we already do. We're not wishing to turn the place into a bar or a pub or play live music. And as I say, the hours will really not be any more extended apart from that Friday and Saturday evening. The addition of the licence would allow us to serve a Prosecco with afternoon tea, a beer with lunch, or wine with our early evening supper menus. There are 13 other licensed venues directly around me, which includes the Parade Tea Rooms, Pine Vinyl, Beckett's, Shorty's and Mayor, just to name a few. I know we have 3 representations against the licence, but we also have 4 in favour, and another letter which was issued too late from the neighbour directly opposite, showing his that he has no concern about us having a licence. As obviously he knows us, he knows that we would behave in the correct manner and comply with all the rules with the licence. I think that's it for a minute. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. Thank you very much. Members, do you have any questions at all?
Yes, I have a question. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yep, go ahead. Am I having internet connection problems? Sorry.
Thanks very much, Ms. Delaney. I know to the opening that you're proposing, but that's not what you're applying for. You're applying to open to 2,300 7 days a week, and it may well be that you know the times that you've given us, you will probably stick to. But of course, if you move on, then there's a license for the premise for 23 hours. So I just wonder why you're not applying simply for the hours that you intend to open.
Hello, thank you for your question. I applied for the full amount of time purely because I took direction on speaking to the licensing department. When I phoned and made the initial inquiry and found out all the information, it was suggested that you might as well just apply for the blanket license. It means it covers you should you wish to do a one-off event, and then you don't have to keep applying for different applications each time you want to do something. Us doing a one-off event is very, very unlikely, but we're covered without having to make extra applications on each occasion.
You specifically asked to 1 o'clock on New Year's Eve, if I recall. I can't get all the paperwork up. That would say to me that you intend to have at least one function on New Year's Eve. Would that be correct?
Again, it's not something that's set in stone. It just gives us the provision to be able to do it if we decided nearer the time. I mean, most of our, as you can see over the years, we've opened until around about 3 o'clock nearly every day. We haven't really opened over Christmas because it's not been a terribly viable location. Lots of people doing shopping in different areas. So we used to close up for around about 10 days over Christmas. There's every possibility that we wouldn't open on a New Year's Eve, but should we wish to do an event on a New Year's Eve, again, we already have the provision. Again, this was sort of this was advice taken really in my initial conversation with the licensing department at Portsmouth City Council. Okay,
thank you. Could you just address the issue, which is the big issue about the concern of the neighbour above you, on the flat above you, in particular with this mezzanine floor, and the report from the regulatory officer, he'll come on to that later. But how would you seek to resolve that the noise problem that your neighbour's concerned about?
So the noise problem that my neighbour is primarily and mostly concerned about, I understand, is that her property sits mostly and wholly over number 77 Castle Road, which is next door. However, the layout of her premises is such that there's obviously some sort of walkway across, and her bedroom is sited right over the very, very back of our property, which is where our kitchen area is. I have written to Mrs. May. I've spoken to the landlord, and I have also spoken and sought advice from somebody who is able to do soundproofing, and we are able to do some soundproofing by not disturbing Mrs. May. I think it would take about 2 or 3 days, but we would be able to remove the kitchen ceiling and use a method where they wrap around the joists, and I won't go into all the details because I'm not entirely sure how it works, but that should then provide a good form of sound prevention. And then the rest of the area is nowhere near that. We intend to pop a door onto the kitchen area anyway. It was always just a walk-through arch, but we will do that. So once we've done the main service of the food, which we have managed to run successfully run 3 temporary events weekends running up to Christmas. And once we've finished doing the food, there's no reason for there to be any noise in that immediate area. And with the addition of the soundproofing, I don't see that should cause too many issues moving forward.
Okay, I just have one last question. It's relating to, so that's fine, and I think a lot of that was picked up in the correspondence that we have in the report anyway. But could I just ask then, if and you had mentioned doing soundproofing between yourself and the neighbour and the landlord. Do I take it then? Do I take it then that you are the owner of your premises, or is it have you all got the same landlord?
We've both got the same landlord.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Councillor Mason, thank you. Councillor Mason, do you have any questions?
Mine was pretty much the same as what Leo, Madam, was asking, because it does seem very different, the hours applied for versus the hours that are said to be operated. Just wondering if that is from the applicant today amending their application, or if they're still applying for the full alcohol 10 till 11 every night.
I haven't amended the application. I just put the application in as per the conversation and the advice in the initial conversation with licensing. My intention is not to open until 11 o'clock. However, it was just a blanket application. I've never made a license application before, so this may be something that I just sought advice over the telephone from the authority that deals with it, and thought that would be sufficient help and information.
Chair, if I can assist, that it wasn't me who gave that advice, but that is the advice we would give. It just makes sense, to be honest with you. Operating up to 11 o'clock is not unreasonably late, and it would save the need for the applicant to keep coming back for temporary event notices, etc., of which they're limited in number anyway. So that is the general advice that we would give, if that assists.
Thank you. I guess that answers the question there. Councillor Mason, anything to come back on?
No.
Thank you. Leo, Councillor Madden, I guess that's a legacy hand, so I'm going to lower that right now. Ben, hello, you have your hand up. You're on mute.
Apologies, Chair. Senior moment. I was just wondering if the applicant could just clarify precisely what events they've run under the auspices of a temporary event notice, whether they involve the sale of alcohol, and precisely what the nature of those events were, and whether they caused any issues.
Hello there, thank you for the question. Yes, we applied for the temporary events notices. We ran those obviously with the day break in between. We ran them for the 3 weeks running up till Christmas, where we basically had the offer of alcohol to be served, and then we had our supper evenings. So on the Friday and the Saturday for the 3 weeks before, we ran the supper evenings where we would provide a supper menu, which is generally 2 or 3 courses, and the provision of alcohol was there to be purchased alongside the meals for the evenings. We received no complaints. My colleague spoke to Mrs. May and explained to her that we'd had our one of our supper evenings. Was everything okay? We did our best to be as courteous and quiet in the kitchen as we could. And according to the feedback from my colleague when he spoke to her, she said she didn't hear anything and everything was okay. We then followed up the following week and asked the same question, and the answer appeared to be the same. So I was satisfied that we hadn't disturbed her, and hopefully that would continue. Yeah.
Okay. Can I just ask, Chair, what time you were operating till? Was that until 9 o'clock in the evening?
Yes, we served the supper up until about 8:30, and then we closed for 9, and we were out of there really by about 9:30 by the time we'd cleared up. I guess you could probably say that we would be 9:30, 10 o'clock on most evenings to give us a chance to clear up and get people to disperse for the evening.
Thank you, Chair. I don't have any further questions.
Thank you. I have a question. Ms. Delaney, do you have what's your opening times as per your planning rules, as in what your building use is, please?
I've never really been given any opening times as per my building. I mean, I've been there 15 years. Nobody's ever told me I can't open until a certain time. I spoke to the landlord about it recently, and he said he wouldn't have an issue with us being open until 9 o'clock. Any later, he would probably feel that wouldn't be appropriate. But I spoke to him once this had arisen, once we'd applied for the licence. Obviously, I spoke to him about the soundproofing in the kitchen, and I explained to him what time our intentions were, which he said he didn't have a problem with that, but he would if obviously we were looking at being later in the, much later in the evenings.
Thank you. Thanks for that. Next on my list, Derek, do you have any questions at all?
I have no questions, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. and Mrs. May, do you have any questions of the applicant, please? And please limit to questions.
No, I think everything I've already put in the paperwork covers most of it so far. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Howells, do you have any questions?
No, just no, thanks very much.
Mr. Maidment, sorry, I've got it in order. Mr. Maidment, do you have any questions?
Just one, Chair. I'd just like to ask Mr. Delaney, the mezzanine floor, it is under another flat, is that correct?
Yes, the mezzanine floor is under another flat. The mezzanine floor, it's a mezzanine at the front of the building, but it continues right the way through the building as a second floor. So the entire floor above us, with the exception of Mrs. May's kitchen, is all sort of open space, and then we just have that mezzanine at the front, which would be, I think it's the lounge of the flat above that.
Could we just stop a sec? I think Leo Madden's disappeared.
Leo, what was the last thing you heard?
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, the thing I heard was the very start of Miss Delaney's reply.
What, to Ben?
Yeah.
Okay, Ben, could you just recycle what was said, please?
Yes, I'll just have a quick stab. So it was confirmed that the temporary event notices were utilised in the run-up to Christmas, and that involved the sale of alcohol up until around 9:30 to 10 o'clock, with cleaning up afterwards. And that was the answer to my question. And then I believe Environmental Health asked about the mezzanine floor and whether there was a flat above that area, a separate flat above that area at the front of the premises, and it was confirmed that there is. I didn't quite catch the full details of that point, so is there anything else that was discussed, Richard, that you can...
No, that was it, thanks.
Also, I asked a question about what the cafe opening times were in regards to planning legislation, as in what use it is, and Ms Delaney replied that she is a little bit unsure, but she's never really opened past 9 p.m. She had chats with the landlord. If you want to repeat your answer, Ms Delaney, it might be a lot easier on Councillor Madden than me trying to relay about what you said, if that's possible.
Okay, that's no problem. Yeah, with regards to opening times, we've never really opened much past sort of 5-6 o'clock in previous times. I've discussed it with the landlord since I've made the application for the licensing. He wouldn't have a problem with us opening until 9 o'clock. Much past that, he did say he would have an issue, obviously because he's the landlord for the other tenants in the building and next door. So
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other questions of the applicant at all from anybody? I'll move on to deputation from Mr. and Mrs. May then, please, if you'd like to state your case. Thank you.
Sorry, are you expecting me to summarise what I've already sent in?
We've obviously got your paperwork, but please summarise it for us for the sake of the meeting, if that's possible.
Yes, the main concern, as you might have gathered through what I put through on all of the paperwork, there is the trading hours and the noise and the clearing up time. As we've discussed, the kitchen, their kitchen where they clean up and where they're in and out the back door is directly above our bedroom, and you can, with the doors and windows shut now as it stands, you can hear one person talking word for word, which I've provided a recording of that. So my concern is obviously more than one person, and you know, my husband gets up at 4:30 in the morning. I appreciate she's saying, Belinda is saying that she'll open Friday and a Saturday night, but we've already established that if she wants to, she can do it once she's got that license for those hours. You know, my thought is, you know, maybe the application should have been restricted to these times, not asking for the whole lot. We've already established that there are intentions to do these late hours. You know, obviously my main concern is obviously even 9 o'clock at night, we're still talking 10 and half 10 by the time they've cleared up, and they're going to be clearing up this back area, throwing bottles and in and out the back door. That's the area it's going to be. So as I say, my main point is that, I mean, there has to be, with or without this license, there should be soundproofing anyway. I mean, I've had to work from home and can't hear myself, you know, just can't work with it, with any windows open or anything like that. So obviously we've got all those issues, but yeah, but you know, a lot of what I've said here, I won't go too much into it because I have done quite extensive, given quite extensive information in the report here, which I take everybody as read. But as I say, my main thing is to give the full license. Will give an opportunity to do those hours, particularly in the summer when it's warm and things like that. And next thing you know, they're doing that 9 till, you know, clearing up till 10:30, 7 days a week, and we've got to go to bed and go to work. So that's the only thing really I would really strengthen on, backing up what I've already given in the paperwork.
Thank you very much. Members, do you have any questions?
Really just a small one. I know you've gone into the noise you get as well, but can you just confirm you get noise coming in from outside through your windows from in the backyard area as well as up through the floor?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And that is just as much as a problem as when the doors are closed, you can hear the conversations. But it's just general going out to put rubbish, throwing bottles away, going on the phones, making the private phone calls, you know, all like that. That's where they go for maybe breaks and what have you. And that is where you've got the pictures in the report there. Our window, the bedroom window, is right above that door. And I think that window is, you've got pictures of that in the pack. Is that all right?
We've got the pictures in the pack. We didn't actually receive any audio recordings, so. But...
There's a tab of it. I think it did say it in the tab, but I don't think we've got the recording. Councillor Madden, do you have any questions?
I have no questions.
Thank you. Derek, do you have any questions at all?
No, I have nothing. Thank you.
Did the applicant have any questions?
No questions, but I think hopefully Mrs. May's concerns we've sort of covered in some of those questions that we answered earlier, especially with the 11 o'clock.
Later, we're summing up.
Sorry, I beg your pardon. I beg your pardon.
Right.
Sorry.
Cool. Ben, you have a hand up.
Thank you, Chair. I just have one question. I was just wondering whether you knew if the flat above the mezzanine area, whether that was Mr. Coath, is it, that's made a representation?
This is that is his Greg Coath lives at the back, which is above me, which would be affected from the back. There's a very elderly lady that lives at the front, and she didn't want to, you know, obviously with her age, she didn't want it was, you know, that's his mum, and she didn't want to get involved in this, which we can't blame her. Nevertheless, it doesn't mean that she's not distressed by it or might not be affected by it, but with her age, she didn't want to start emails and getting under the stress of all this, so that's why she hasn't sent any representation.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Howes, do you have any questions?
Not just now, thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Maidment, do you have any questions?
No, that's fine, thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Howes, if you'd like to speak, would you like to speak in support of this application, please?
Yeah, you know, I've been a Southsea resident for, well, 37 years now, 7 years of which have been on Castle Road itself. So we live down near the clock tower area, and, you know, for certain ourselves, and if I'm representing the residents who live in and around us, I've been using Delaney's as a hub and as a cafe for many years. And yes, we are some distance away from the cafe, so obviously with regards to anything like noise pollution, I can't comment on. But certainly, I think, you know, recently I've been doing a bit of work with Belinda and Delaney's as well, with regards to the look of the refurb and how it's going to be conducive on the street itself. And I know the team at Delaney's I've very much taken into consideration the residents and the local business with regards to how they can present how the business looks, what they're going to do within the business, etc. So I think they, you know, the comment I would make is they're working very hard by keeping in mind how the residents are going to feel with regards to what's being pushed out right now, and not going forward. So whatever's being done there, it's not done on a whim. I think these people are working very hard to try to please everybody. And I very much sympathise with the lady upstairs. And as I'm saying, we live some distance down the road, but I don't know. I'm not a soundproofing expert, but to me it seems like a soundproofing problem that can be rectified. Maybe not. Maybe I'm speaking out of turn, but yeah, I'm here today really in support of the business, because what it's given Castle Road, and Castle Road it's an important little historic hub. And I think if businesses like this are allowed to leave because of certain issues, it's a major problem, and hence my support.
Thank you very much for that. Members, do you have any questions? I can see you shaking your head, Councillor Mason. Leo, do you have any questions? Is he frozen?
He looks frozen.
We shall wait for a moment to see if he comes back, if everyone's okay with that. For the benefit of everyone here, we can't continue the meeting unless we know he's here, so we just need to wait. So please bear with us for a second. We'll see if he comes back.
I'm just going to take this opportunity to fill up my teacup, if that's okay. So I'm going to turn the camera off for 2 seconds. I can still hear you. I'll just be behind.
That's a good idea. I see that he's left the meeting now, so hopefully he'll come back.
I mean, if it's going to be some time, I can get someone to phone him to see if he's having problems.
Please do, Anna, if that's okay.
Hello, this is Janet May here. May I have an opportunity just to add a comment on the back of Peter Howell's comments there when we're all back together again?
Can ask a question, but you can add in summing up right at the end when we go to finish. But yeah.
Yeah, I think Chair, you can accept later points out of turn if you wish, but the important thing is that everybody's here when that's done. That's all.
Okay, thank you. No problem.
That's why I was shaking my head.
I do apologise for the little bit of the wait. Once Anna gets back to us, we'll have more of an idea of where Leo's gone.
Yeah, apparently someone's phoned him. It's engaged, so they think he's on the phone to IT, and his mobile goes to voicemail, but they'll keep trying.
Thank you. I am right next to my kitchen and I'm going to make a black coffee. I have my volume on the loudest possible setting, so just kind of make a noise.
Chair, I wonder whether maybe you just want to take an adjournment for 10 minutes or so just to see.
Is that okay?
And that gives everybody it might be best just to leave the meeting running, put your mics on mute, shut down your video, but just keep it open. Otherwise, getting us all back in again is a bit of a nightmare.
That's fine. We'll reconvene for 11 o'clock then on the dot. Thank you.
Look, I'll see if I can share the slide, but
Thank you.
But please make sure all microphones are on mute because the recording's still running. Sorry, Councillor Madden, are you there?
I'm here. Okay.
All
Sorry
right,
about that.
Oh my goodness. We're on adjournment to 11,
Yeah.
Leo.
So I understand. Thank you for that. I just made a cup of coffee.
We all did.
I don't know. This keeps happening to me, and I'm just fed up with it actually. But there you are. I was reading the papers on my own laptop, but that was the one that froze. This one had already gone.
Yeah,
We should do it all by signal, shouldn't we? Stand outside and wave to one another.
I do miss meeting in person, definitely.
So what? This is nonsense, actually.
I agree, but I will just say that we ought to be careful what we say, as I think it's still broadcasting.
No, this doesn't work. This doesn't and hasn't worked for me.
It hasn't. It doesn't.
No.
So many meetings. Every meeting on Teams, something goes wrong. Someone gets cut off. But
Yeah. Well, we've got to carry on with the meetings, and there's only way to do it. I accept that, but I'm just concerned that it keeps freezing on me or whatever it keeps doing. But hopefully, fingers crossed, I won't freeze.
That new super fast broadband's rolling out across Portsmouth. We've registered our interest because we're paying through the nose for Virgin, so it seems to be quite cheap. So I think people should be registering their interest with that, really.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, I'm with Virgin as well.
Do you want to resume? Shall I remove the slide?
Yep, we're ready to go. I just want to make sure that Rocky, Miss Delaney, Mrs. May is here. Richard, I can see your face.
Yep, Mrs. May, Mr. and Mrs. May are here.
Thank you. Miss Delaney, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, yeah.
Thank you. Rocky? Just waiting on Rocky, but Leo, you have your hand up.
I just want to apologise to everybody. I'm very sorry about that and the delays to you, but it happens to me regularly. And it's a council computer. I've got my own here, and I was reading the papers from that, and that's the one that froze. But sorry about that. I hope it doesn't happen again today. Thank you.
Apology accepted. Obviously there's technological problems, and it's internet as well, isn't it? I have about 4 different backups for things going wrong. Like today it went wrong, like Teams just didn't want to load on my big office computer, so I had to run downstairs and I'm on my MacBook with tiny tabs open and Chrome and writing things down on a piece of paper. Oh, I miss pieces of paper, miss reports. Just waiting on Rocky. Rocky, you there?
I am. Yeah, I'm here.
We're all in again. Councillor Madden, I think you may have missed Mr. Howe speaking in support.
No, I think I got most of that. No, I got all that. He lives down the road and whatever, and he's been in the premises, goes in there regularly, and has been talking with doing it up or whatever, having some conversations with the owner. So yeah, I heard that.
You're on mute, Chair.
Thank you. Members, do you have any questions resulting from that? No. Thank you. Derek, do you have any questions?
No, I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Applicant, Ms. Delaney, do you have any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. May, do you have any questions?
Yeah, it was just one point on the back of the comment made by.
If it's a question,
Oh, no.
I'm sorry, you can say it in summing up at the end. You'll definitely get your chance to speak
Okay.
again. That's the only comment.
Okay, that's okay. No questions then. That's fine.
Thank you. Mr. Maidman, do you have any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you very much. Where am I at? So, Mrs. May. Now we're down to Mr. Maidman from Environmental Health. Just your representation, sorry. Regulatory Services.
Thank you, Chair. I'm not going to bore you by going through the entire report, but there's a few points I'd just like to press home. The problems we have with licensed premises, particularly ones that are structurally attached to residential dwellings, is that due to the Live Music Act, any licensed premises can now have performances of live bands or recorded music to 2,300 hours, 7 days a week as a right. In the past, we could have restricted the license to alcohol sales only, but now we can't. So I have to assume that there will be entertainment within that venue in line with the terms of the license. Modern bars and restaurants tend to be very minimalist, reverberant spaces, very echoey, with hard surfaces and very little in the way of soft furnishings, which will provide any acoustic absorption. So as the venues reach capacity, noise levels increase considerably as people raise their voices, competing to be heard and understood. The hard floor surfaces can also increase noise levels due to the impact and scraping of chairs when they're moved around, and this travels through the structure as a vibration, which then comes out, flanks around the structure, and then reappears as airborne sound in the premises above. From the past experience we have with this is a particular problem when the venue is being cleared up at the end of the night. So as the chairs are being moved, they're sweeping up. You get a lot of clattering, banging, scraping of chairs. It can be a real problem. Due to the smoking ban, we now have groups of people congregating outside the premises throughout the evening. And due to the influence of alcohol, when people have been drinking, inhibitions drop, and there is inevitably some element of exuberant and loud behaviour, which tends to impact upon the locality, particularly when the premises are located in a densely populated area, such as Castle Road. These premises were originally built in the late Victorian Edwardian period, and as I've stressed in my report, I think the sound insulation is pretty poor. The planning permission was subsequently changed of use to a cafe on the ground floor with a mezzanine floor added at some point to increase the available seating area. Now, I have particular concerns about this mezzanine floor area because it's going to be very difficult, I think, to actually improve the sound insulation above that mezzanine floor due to the low ceiling height. You're going to need at least about 150mm drop to get an acoustic ceiling in. There is an outdoor seating area to the pavement, which I was originally concerned about, but I've subsequently discovered that this closes at 6 o'clock. So in the interest of disclosure, that is no longer a problem to me. I think that's okay. We have problems with similar venues in the location in this area. In Palmerston Road in particular, there was a relatively new build development consisting of shops on the ground floor with flats on the four floors above. The ground floor was subsequently converted to a restaurant, which we did not object to. However, as soon as the venue opened, it became apparent that it was more of a drinking establishment than a restaurant, and the complaints began to come in from the neighbouring residents about noise from the patrons and loud music. The trading area was a classic reverberant space like I described earlier, and the noise from the customers alone meant that people were shouting to be heard, and all this was clearly audible in the flat above. It was just like there was an invisible. I was in there when this was occurring, and it was just like there was an invisible party going on in the property. The people might as well have been in the room. As a result of this, we had to serve a noise abatement notice upon the operators and requiring them to install an acoustic ceiling. Now, this was reduced the levels by about a third, but we're still receiving complaints, and the residents are not very happy about it. But there's nothing further we can do because we've run out of headroom. There's no further insulation that can be installed into the premises. We also served noise abatement notices on that premises for loud music, and which we are still dealing with. This is an ongoing problem, and it's only due to the COVID restrictions that we're not pursuing this at the moment. There was also another similar sized venue located within Castle Road, which is operating as a restaurant or a wine bar. And this is a very similar establishment. It has residential dwellings above and next door. This is continually the subject of noise complaints from residents due to the performance of live bands and also customers screaming and shouting and while smoking in the doorway. Noise abatement notices have been served for loud music in the past, but once again, we're continuing to receive complaints, the latest being in August 2020 for customers yelling and singing outside the bar. In short, I think the biggest problem we have here, my biggest concern is that we're introducing a licensed premises directly below residential dwellings, structurally attached to residential dwellings, which in the past it was only a cafe. So these people have taken these flats on the understanding that the impact would be pretty minimal, just that associated with an A3 cafe. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Richard. Members, any questions? Leo, you've got Councillor Madden, you've got a hand up.
Oh, good. I didn't know it was up. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Maidment, for that. I've actually I copied off your report or printed off your report because I found it very interesting, as I always do with these noise ones. But some of the things actually seem to me to be conjecture rather than fact. And that's what concerns me. In 1.2, you say that the sound, we're talking about the sound insulation between the two uses, i.e. the cafe and the premises up above, is likely to be poor. Now, is it poor or is it not? And you say it's probably no more than a single layer of plasterboard or similar. Well, is it just a single layer of plasterboard or similar? That's my first question. Do you want me, I don't know how you want me to deal with this. I have lots of questions on this report, Chair. Do you want them one at a time?
Yeah, I think one at a time would be better. Otherwise, I'll probably lose the thread.
Okay.
I have no idea what the actual structure of the sound insulation is in the building. It's just from haven't been able to get in there due to the COVID restrictions, but I'm listening to the speaking to the complainant and also listening to the audio recordings she's made. I can clearly hear conversation which you wouldn't hear if it was a decent substantial structure. It does sound more like it's just a single layer of plasterboard, but it is just conjecture. You're right.
Yeah, could I? There is a stock. Well, in paragraph 2.2, you say that the applications or such developments should not be permitted without it being clearly demonstrated that acceptable noise levels can be achieved and maintained at and within the noise-sensitive properties. Now, that's the Institute of Acoustics Good Practice Guide. So it's not a rule, is it?
No, it's not a rule. It's just a guidance document. There's no legislation regarding this, other than the building regulations. It wouldn't, which wouldn't apply in this case because it's an existing structure. So it's just a guidance document. Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks for that. It's just Ms. Delaney, when she was making a deputation, did say that she's in discussions with the landlord. Landlord owns the whole premises. We've now established the whole building. To have some soundproofing installed. Would that satisfy you? You know, in lifting your objection.
Based on my experience, like I detailed earlier with similar venues, like the one particularly the one in Palmerston Road, and that was quite a new build development. It's very difficult to. You're never going to soundproof a building. You can reduce the noise, especially when you're retrofitting insulation. So I am very concerned about any licensed premises being structurally attached to a residential dwelling. You could probably reduce the possibly the patron noise. You probably get it down at pretty low, but any music, I think you'd struggle.
Yeah, could we just again in her deputation, Miss Delaney said that there would be no loud music. In fact, I was writing down and I missed it, but she might have said no music at all, or if anything, soft music. So that if that's the case, then that shouldn't be a problem. And you also you did say, I think, Richard, in relation to the people smoking outside, no smoking on premises anymore, that you're satisfied that that won't be a problem. Is that right? Did I get that second point right?
No, what my original concern was that there was a drinking area outside, an external drinking area, which I originally thought was open till 9 o'clock at night, but it's not. It closes at 6, so I'm not really bothered about that. The smoking outside is a recurrent problem. Yeah.
Everywhere, I have to say.
It is, yeah. It's a big pain for us.
Yeah, it is. It's a problem. I get lots of complaints from about pubs in North End here, I have to say.
Very.
What about the music? What about the music bit then? If Mr. Lenny's given assurances on that?
I've no doubt she probably has every intention not to play music. I'm sure she's a very good operator, but the problem is under the Live Music Act, you can have it. If you have a premises license, you can have live music till 11 o'clock at night as a right, and I can't. I really have to. I have to take the view that this will be used. There's no way I can't restrict. I can't restrict it.
What about 210, where you say that it'll require a kitchen extraction system in order to operate? Is that still the? Sorry, Mr. Lenny didn't address that issue, but. Does it still need that, and would that be very noisy?
An extraction system will have its own noise control issues. It's all going to. My concern is that we're now looking at something that's increasing the intensity of the cooking process. So there's every likelihood that you're going to have an extraction system as well to actually disperse the fumes from cooking. Otherwise, we're going to get a potential nuisance from that.
Okay, but that's doable.
It is doable. It will require planning permission, and it will also require possibly a discharge at high level, at roof level, which, if the landlord's agreeable, it is doable. Yes, yeah.
Okay, thanks. And I just you do end by saying that you're not convinced that the application be supported. I don't know if there's anything you've heard today, or in reply to any of the questions that I've asked, whether you can see a way of lifting your objection, I'll put it that way, if some of these things like insulation and the extractor fan, for instance, are put into operation.
If the well, I say yes. I am concerned about the level of insulation you'll be able to put into that structure, particularly over the mezzanine floor area. I think you're going to struggle to get any further reduction in ceiling height there. I really am nervous about having, based on experience, I'm really nervous about having licensed premises structurally attached to residential dwellings. It's fraught with all sorts of problems. I can see we're going to be back there trying to sort this out at some later stage, trying to use statutory nuisance.
Okay, thank you, Peter. Sorry, I hope it didn't sound as though we were in court. Sorry about that.
No, I'm used to it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Mason, do you have any questions?
No, thank you. Not at this time.
Thank you. Richard, just some stuff. I know planning law's changing about changes of use and stuff, and it's still really confusing, even though I'm actually on the planning committee. Is there any planning at the moment for a change of use or something like that, or do you know something's going to happen, etc., etc.?
I'm not aware of any change of use. Theoretically, for a drinking establishment, you're supposed to have a separate planning permission, but it seems to be from my experience, a very grey area as to what is a restaurant and what's a drinking establishment now.
I know you made a point of the extractor fan, and I definitely know if maybe a restaurant change of use did come in at planning, that 9 times they want you to have extractor fan. So
you will, yeah. I think I can help you with the. You asked a question earlier about the opening times. On the planning consent, I did make some inquiries into that, some research into that, and historically there is, owing to the age of the building, there is no planning, there is no restriction on opening times at all. So there is no planning restriction.
So if a change of use went in, they could probably incorporate a restriction on planning on opening times at that point.
Possibly, yeah.
Thank you. Ben, hello, you have your hand up.
Thank you, Chair. Just one question of Mr. Maidment. Would any restriction in the hours of operation ameliorate the impact, do you think?
Yeah, I think I would suggest that the 2100 hours that they wanted would probably be acceptable. I would, you know, I would say yes. Yeah.
Could I come back with a follow-up question on that? If any 10s were applied for, which went past if we granted 9 o'clock, and obviously 10s will be asked for, and we know that 99.9% of the times we do not object to 10s. Would you object to any 10s application if there were few and far between, and then there's no noise stuff going on?
If there was no historical problems, then it's unlikely we would object. I mean, it's supposed to be a light touch approach on 10, so it's unlikely unless we had evidence, we felt there was a significant problem.
Thank you. Ben had a hand up. I think it's Legacy. Yeah. Councillor Madden.
Yeah, could I just follow up on that? We're sitting here today with an application to open to 2300 hours. And then the special New Year's Eve one. Can we in fact change the times today, just like that, or do we need the permission of the not the permission of, but the agreement of the Ms. Delaney, for instance?
Chair,
she did say earlier on, to be fair to her, and it's also in the emails that she took the advice from the licensing department. And Mr. Stone did say, well, that's the general advice we give. But I mean, if we wanted to curtail the hours, is that doable today?
That's precisely your remit, Councillor. That's absolutely what the subcommittee is here to consider and determine. So it's well within your remit to decide what is appropriate, having heard all the evidence, considered all the parties' points of view. It then falls upon you to decide what is permissible or not, given all the factors and all the evidence that you've heard. And if you decide that a cut-off time earlier to that applied for is appropriate, then you can impose that. Obviously, there's a right of appeal if the applicant remains unsatisfied with that, and it would go to the Magistrates' Court. But that's precisely what the subcommittee is here to determine.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Delaney, do you have any questions?
Pause it again, please.
Yes, is it okay just to bear with me 1 second?
Yeah, that's fine. I can. Shall I wait, or shall I go to someone else to ask if they have any questions?
Up to you, Chair. Entirely up to you. If you want to move on to someone else and come back to.
Yeah, I'll just do that briefly. Mrs. May, do you have any questions? I forgot to ask if you had any questions, Derek.
No, I've no questions, thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. May, do you have any questions of Mr. Maidment?
Well, from Richard, no. I've got another question towards what we're talking about, towards the hours, though, because obviously my concern still is we still work and we're in bed at 8, 9 o'clock at night all during the week. It still means even if you reduce the license, it's still going to be 10/10 during the week when we're in bed. So, I'm not sure what type of hours you're thinking of talking about restricting, but in my eyes, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Sunday, it's still a problem to me, even if it is restricted to 9 p.m. at night.
Thank you for that. Like I said, you can still say all that at the end, but we'll take that note from you, definitely. But yeah, please work that into your summing up, definitely. Thank you.
Will do, thank you.
Mr. Howes, do you have any questions?
Yeah, just a quick one. This might be a completely different issue altogether, but with regards to the landlord of the properties, does the landlord have a degree of responsibility, knowing the lower levels of those private rentals are commercial, and they always have been commercial? When the landlord is letting out the upper areas of the building for private use, does he have a degree of responsibility to put these things right, to put these proofings in place to make sure the upper areas are livable with regards to the commercial businesses below? I don't know. It's just a question I'm throwing out there. It might be something to address at a different time,
No, that is a really valid question, and I think Mr. Maidment's probably best placed to answer that in this case, maybe. You're on mute.
sorry, I think it would all come down to the terms of the lease. Perhaps Ben might be able to answer that one. Might be a legal question.
It may be that there's some legal recourse for breach of contract if it was done knowingly, and there are assurances given within the lease that certain levels of enjoyment of the property will be upheld. But that ultimately is a private matter between the parties, and it's not something for the subcommittee to be delving into today. Frankly, it's just a question of determining what is or is not appropriate under the license that's granted, if one is granted.
I guess more anecdotally, I've sat on a planning committee where someone had asked to increase hours, and the landlord of the property objected to that. So people can apply for it, but that gets into a whole new territory of people having arguments with each other, I suppose. But yeah, it's a fun one. Other than that, Leo, is that a legacy hand? Yeah, it's a legacy hand. Mr. Delaney, did you want to come back with some questions for Richard?
Yes, sorry. I've just really with the going back to the bringing the hours of the license down to sort of 9 o'clock at 9 o'clock. Obviously, if we did decide that we wanted to do the New Year's Eve party, like I think you've already covered, that would be something we could just apply for an additional 10s. And I think is it 12 10s a year that you can apply for?
I think Rocky better ask that one. I'm not too sure.
It's 12 10s a year, but they can last for more than one day.
Yeah, you could cover that, Belinda, by way of a 10, definitely.
Okay, that's fine. I do have some sort of answers really to some of your concerns, Richard. I don't know if that's something I'm able to answer now or after.
In summing up, but if you want to ask him any specific questions right now, you can frame some question. I'm cool with that. But other than that, we'll just wait for summing up. You can sum up right at the end, so you get the final say as well. So
yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine for now.
Thank you very much. We are moving into summing up, as far as I'm aware. I'm just checking my list off. Who are we at first? Mr. Stone, if you would like to. Ben, you've got your hand up. Why are you doing this to me?
Yeah, sorry to interject. It was just to say that mention was made earlier to a sound recording. I think Mr. Maidman mentioned a sound recording that showed voice that could be heard below. A sound recording was disseminated to members and will be made. I think what I'll do is I'll make sure that's available to members to review when they retire. So Mrs. May, you can be assured that that is still being taken into account. That's what I was going to say.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. I'm very grateful. Ms. Delaney, you have a hand up there. Just go to you quickly.
Yes, just very quickly to confirm with regards to the voice recording, that recording is above the kitchen area, not the mezzanine or anywhere else. It's above the kitchen area, which we've already discussed about doing the soundproofing, if that's okay, just to reiterate that.
Richard?
Yeah, understood. I would think though that the structure is the same. It's probably the same ceiling that goes all the way through the whole property. But once again, it's just conjecture.
Thank you for that. We can move into summing up now. Mr. Stone, if you'd like to sum up your case as licensing officer, please.
Yeah, members, I have nothing more to add, really. You've heard everything. I've got nothing more to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll come to you, Ms. Delaney, right at the end, because you're allowed to have the final say in all of this. I'll come to you first, Mrs. May.
Hello. Just one point I wanted to make to the Peter Howells. With respect, you live halfway up the road. You have dealings in a business type capacity with the property, but you don't live above and have not endure the noise and will not endure any noise that comes in, you know, in the future, with respect. And the final, my final concern is obviously the hours that we're talking about, because you know, okay, Friday and Saturday to 9, that's still going to be 10:30 at night. But obviously, you've got all the other days, all the other hours of the whole week that needs to be looked at, because you know, still 10:30 at night on a weekend night, you know, on a weekday or all the weekdays when we've got work the next morning, is still not acceptable to us. Okay, thank you.
Anything else, David?
No, I think everything else. I think I would like to urge people to, you know, if that the recording is being made available there, I've got quite a few of them, and yeah, I would like you all to listen to that as an example of how clearly the noise. So I would, if people, you know, if all the members have not listened to that, yeah, I would like them to do that as part of this as well, if they don't mind. Thank you.
It'll all be in there. Thank you. Mr. Howes, would you like to sum up?
No, I think I said all I'd like to say, you know, in support of the application. I do understand the lady's point she's just made. You're absolutely right. I do live at the other end of the street, and I do sympathise, and it would just be nice to be able to come to a happy medium here, where a small honest business is allowed to trade the way they'd like to trade, but at the same time, you living above the property, living above the business, will also be able to live the way you want to live. So I do understand the hurdles and the pitfalls of all parties, really. So yeah, good luck with it all.
Thank you for that. Mr. Maidment, would you like to sum up, please?
Yeah, I think the only thing I really want to press home is I'm sure the operator is a very professional lady and has all good intentions, but I am concerned if they move on, the next operator comes in and they could then just take full advantage of the terms of the license. I think if we are looking at restricting the hours, if that is an option, I'd still like to see sound insulation measures imposed on the separating ceiling. I was also wondering, I don't know if Rocky might be able to help me here. Would it be possible to take out the mezzanine floor from the licensed area? Because as I understand it, I think is it the consumption of alcohol is not regulated; it's just the sale. Is that correct?
Well, yeah, consumption is not a licensable activity. You are correct, but I'm not sure what you're going to gain by people sat in that area, whether they're not drinking alcohol but drinking other drinks. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. What I'm thinking about is the music aspect of it, that you wouldn't be able to have any music on that mezzanine floor. At least that would take that out of the equation. And then you've got a buffer zone of the mezzanine floor from the ground floor.
Ben probably can supply some legal advice right now.
No, I was just going to ask a question of environmental health, whether, in light of what he's just saying now, whether there are any measures that he might recommend as being suitable in terms of limiting the type of sound equipment within the premises. So, for example, not mounting speakers on structural parts of the building, and any limits as to the size or output of speakers, or anything of that nature that might assist.
I think the problem with that is from what I understand under the Live Music Act, that any conditions relating to entertainment they're suspended until after 2300 hours. That's my take on the legislation.
I think you are right on that point, and even if they were imposed, the conditions would have no effect in this instance, unless or until we get to a review scenario. I suppose I'm just wondering in my mind whether that
You somehow muted yourself there, Ben. I don't know how, like halfway through the speaking.
Apologies. Having issues with my mute button today. I think you're right, and on reflection, I agree with what you're saying. Any conditions imposed would have no effect.
Thank you. Did you want to finish then, Mr. Maitland?
No, I think I've about said it all really. It's just that I do have concern. I'm just very nervous about having any residential dwelling physically attached to a licensed premises. I'm always caught in the middle trying to sort this out eventually, and I'd like to try and prevent it if possible. I think that's all I need to say. Thank you.
Thank you. You are doing the Lord's work there, Richard, so thanks. Ms. Delaney, would you like to sum up and get everything in, please? And then we can adjourn and go to our deliberations. Thank you.
Hello, yes, thank you. Just in addition to the summary I had already sort of prepared, I've just got a couple of points to make in answer to Richard's points raised. Richard makes the point that the building is noisy, and traditionally these places are bare and wooden and what have you. For 15 years we've had a tiled floor, a horrible ceiling, really grotty lighting. So in this refurbishment, what I've done is I've been really careful to try and get rid of all the problems that we've had with the horrible sort of noise issues that we had in there. Not but just that sort of empty, echoey sound every now and again. So I've put built-in seating with covered seating, foam padded covered seating. I've got other seating with cushions, deep-seated cushions. We've got nice lamps with fabric shades. We've got throws. And upstairs in the mezzanine level, we've put built-in seating, which will be is upholstery covered. And I've also put a great big rug, which covers the whole of the remaining floor there. To obviously deal with any sound issues. I'm also happy to, and looking into the thing of, I haven't put all the pictures up on the wall yet, but I was looking at putting some of the acoustic panels in certain areas if it was needed. So I think that I've been quite careful to ensure that there's not going to be a lot of noise. There's certainly been nothing coming from the mezzanine because all the seating is built in, fabric covered, and obviously with the addition of the rug up there, so that's not going to cause an issue with scraping chairs, bits and pieces. Mrs. May raised the issue that we'd have the door open and bottles being thrown in the bin all night. That's not something that we would do. We're more than happy just to do the bins first thing in the morning, and to do the bottles or anything like that would be, well, not first thing in the morning, but once we're up and running and we're open, at a sensible time, we would obviously dispose of those. I can't really foresee that we're going to be having so many bottles and bits and pieces. We're a small capacity of only about 30 anyway. And, you know, my experience in 15 years of being in Castle Road, it's not the busiest, heaving place in the world. Places like Monty's that Richard has mentioned, and Ning's next door has been a restaurant for years. Nothing's been mentioned about that because obviously it's a restaurant, it's a bar that has a small capacity. There's been no mention about noise with that place. It's just the clientele that seems to be gathering at Monty's at the moment, and that's not what we're going for. We don't want a bar, we don't want a pub. We just literally want to make a nice addition. So if you wanted to come with your parents or your mum or treat her for an afternoon tea and have a glass of Prosecco, why not? 13 other licensed venues in our immediate area have that opportunity to do that. If you want to have a glass of wine with a supper, evening supper, you know, that's what we're looking to do. We're looking to do an early evening supper. We've had a lot of interest, we've had a lot of enthusiasm from people that don't want to use Monty's because of the clientele that are in there. They want to come along, they might have a small baby, come and have a really early evening supper, just that opportunity to get out. With regards to the other issues that Richard has raised, he makes a point quite prominently about the being worried about me having live music. I have no intention of having live music. That's not what we want to do. We've got background music. We've got 3 Sonos speakers mounted on the walls in the main area. So they are attached to Nextdoor, which is a business, and they are attached to, so that's a Universal Property to the left. And then we've got one attached to, which is Uncle Buck's Chip Shop. The walls are brick going either side. We haven't got any speakers in the mezzanine level. So again, that's an issue that we've obviously already covered. And the extraction, we are not looking to do or make any more than we have in the past 15 years. So we've always served breakfast. So we cook bacon, egg, sausages, we make homemade chilies, we bake cakes, we do wedges, we cook them in the oven. It's all oven baked. The addition of our early evening supper is a very simple menu. We trialed it. We had an evening where we did pimento peppers to start for a Mexican. We did chili. It's all the things that we can make anyway. We're not going to be doing a big industrial kitchen. We haven't got the capacity. We've got a small kitchen. I'm not going to be changing the kitchen into an industrial kitchen. We work with an oven, a griddle, and an electric hob, and we work around what we already have. There's an extractor that's been there for 15 years. It's never been a problem. So I don't really think that we need to have that as a concern. With regards to smoking, people smoking outside, that is the same of every other venue, even up and down Castle Road already. We will manage that. We will have in-house training. The staff will be trained on how to deal with customers. We'll have some notices up to obviously ask people to respect the neighbours. Just wanted to check. So yeah, we're not changing the operation in any way really. We're just extending some times. And obviously you make reference, and you choose the reference of Monty's, which I think is a little bit unfair, because there are other venues in our vicinity, like Ning's restaurant, that's been going for years. There's been several different restaurants over the years, several different types of clientele. We're no different to that building or to those people, and I would see myself as a business more like the Parade Tea Rooms offering rather than Monty's. So I think that's a bit of an unfair comparison. And then really with regards to anything else, I'm just double checking I didn't have anything else. We talked about the soundproofing, which I'm more than happy to look at and press on with the landlord, with or without the landlord, really, to do that kitchen area for Mrs. May. We don't want her to be under any distress, and I don't want to feel like we have to tiptoe around and whisper. So I would feel more comfortable to get that done. I'll be more than happy to press on with that. And then really, in summary, I hope I haven't missed anything that I wanted to say. Just to say that we've owned and run Delaney's for 15 years. With the addition of the premises licence, which will be ancillary to the business that we've already had, we'll continue to run it in the same competent, responsible and respectful way. We've never had any complaints or warnings issued in this time, and there's no reason for any of that to change. I feel it would be a real shame and very unfair for us not to be granted the licence and give us the very same opportunity as every other venue in the vicinity to enhance our business. And I thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you ever so much for that. It was very in-depth. Ben, is that a legacy hand again? Yeah. I'm really sorry, but I have to ask Derek a question that sprung out of that very quickly. Derek, can you just tell me what the licensable times is on Monty's and Pine Vinyl and anything licensable in the very immediate vicinity of Delaney's?
I can. Have you got your pen handy?
I have.
Well, in relation to Monty's, they can go up to Monday to Saturday. They're from 10 o'clock to 23:30, closing at 23:45.
Yeah.
And on a Sunday, they go to 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And Ning's is Monday to Saturday, 10 to 2300. Pie and Vinyl is 11 to 11 daily.
Yeah.
You got the Barley Mow, which is fairly near. That's obviously it's a normal pub. That's on a Friday and Saturday night, goes to 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
The Mayfair, which is a takeaway, I think, it goes till 1:30 in the morning, closing at 2. The Hole in the Wall, a bit further down Castle Road, goes on a Friday and Saturday up to midnight.
Yeah.
And on a Sunday, 11 o'clock at night. Parade Tea Rooms is 8 in the morning to 2100. The Brew House, which is just around the corner, the old White House or White Horse, that goes on a Friday and Saturday, goes as late as 1 o'clock in the morning. And then you've got Giuseppe's, which is now on the corner. They are from 10 Monday to Saturday, 10 till midnight. On a Sunday, 12 o'clock to midnight.
Thank you. That's very comprehensive. That's it from me from that one. Out of that, I just want to assure you, everyone that's in here today, that I've taken so many notes and I've written down so much stuff that we really Ben's going to have his work cut out for him when we're in deliberations today, I think. And we'll go through this very vigorously when we go into closed sessions. But for the benefit of everyone else, we'll end the meeting here. We'll go into private deliberations. We'll write up our reasoning for the decision. Hopefully, it should be emailed out to you later today. We aim to get it by the end of the day because it is before lunchtime now, because we'll be deciding now. And that will be it, and relevant stuff will be in the post thereafter, but all interested parties will be contacted by email. It should be by 5 o'clock today, definitely. I don't think we're going to be deliberating for so long that it will just take forever. It's just waiting for the important wording, and I'm just babbling on now. So thank you very much, everyone. I hope you have a lovely day. I don't even know what the weather's like, so I can't even recommend anyone to do your daily exercise outside. I don't even know it's raining. So have a lovely day, and I'm going to end the live stream here, please, Anna.
Look, I'll go and stop it now. It'll take you'll be audible for a couple more minutes.
Thank you. I know I'm still audible for a few more minutes, but I have a separate session for closed session. Can we go into that? Is that all right, Lee and Theo? And Ben, obviously. Sorry.